Hello everyone, I'm Jack and I'm back. And I don't have my usual Delahaye garb on because it's freaking cold out here. And I don't have a jacket or coat with a Delahaye stuff on. So anyway, let me update you on where I'm at. All right, so I have these two splash molds that I made off of a GT40 and I'm modifying them because I don't this time want a copy of a GT40. So let's look at them. All right, so this is the first one I made, and I had an issue, bad issue, with alligatoring. All right, so this happened because I put down gel coat, put it all over, and I had, I don't know, about a cup extra left over. So I went, I'll go back and touch up these areas. All right, warning number one, don't touch up areas. I would have been better off to have thrown away that cup of gel coat because it cured at a different rate than the gel coat that was already on there, and it causes alligatoring. So don't do that. All right, and like you can see, it's pretty severe. All right, so what I did after that was I went ahead, and I'm using the mold anyway. I could fill this in, but I decided I don't want to mess with it because all of these low spots are going to be high spots on the fender. So they'll be really easy to knock down. I know that these areas right here are the actual surface. So I will have the actual surface here, but there will be a lot sticking up. A quick hit with a grinder will take care of that. All right, the other thing is I had to tape up where the hood was because the hood shape is completely different between the two. All right, so what I did was I got a piece of foam board and some box tape and just quickly covered up the gap, and there was a vent there, and so that was an open area, so I closed that in. I didn't do a perfect job of it, and so you can see that it has some roughness there that wouldn't be there if this was a normal hood. All right, again, some alligatoring over here, but this is an area that I probably won't even be using, so I wasn't overly worried about it. Let's see, the edges aren't really finished, but again, I don't care because I'm not trying to make a perfect copy. All right, so this, I took it and then I sprayed it with primer. Actually, I ground down some of the roughness here. If you start grinding on gel coat or sanding on gel coat, you've got to go way to a high grit paper, or else you'll have problems with stuff sticking afterwards. So I went ahead and did that. Then I sprayed it with rattle can primer, just the stuff I bought at Walmart, Rust-Oleum sandable primer. So I sprayed it with that. Oh, primer filler first to kind of fill in some of the areas. And then I had some black primer. I keep that around too. And I was going to use it as a guide coat. Sprayed it late last night and expecting this morning to get out here and find out it looked like crap. Well, it didn't. In fact, it was very smooth. It was like a really good flat black paint job. So even though it had no gloss, it was unbelievable. I was impressed with it. So I said, screw that, that's good enough for me. So then what I did was I used my 1153, there we are, release. So this is a chemical release. It's supposed to be semi-permanent. I sprayed a couple of coats on it, even though it says you only need one on a Class A surface. So I would say two on a surface that's not Class A, and I put several coats on it. All right. So then the next thing I did was I sprayed on PVA. All right, and PA is polyvinyl alcohol. I used an inexpensive, airless sprayer. It does a pretty good job. One of the things that issues I have had, and I still continue to have, is surface tension areas. You can see that I sprayed this. So what I do was I put on mist coats, And what happens is a bunch of little dots is what it is. And the idea is you just keep on spraying over and over and over again until the dots finally join together. So the way instructions say is put on a mist coat, and then one mist coat, and then spray on a heavy coat. Well, this is what happens if I do that. I did my mist coat, actually I did several mist coats, and then I sprayed on a heavy coat. Well, there's areas where there's surface tension and it won't fill in those areas. So as an experiment, I came over here, and while it was curing, I used a combination of a high-end paintbrush and a foam paintbrush and smoothed out those areas. So this area right here did look like that, with some flat areas and then large voids. What that did was it reduced it to small voids. It still has voids, but they're small voids. I'm still going to put another layer on there and smooth it out, but this required me to brush it continuously as it was drying. Once it got to a certain point, it started becoming tacky, and I found out from experience, if you try to brush it once it gets tacky, you're actually going to damage it. You're going to pull up the PVA that's already down, so you have to stop when it starts dragging the brush. This one, I just brushed it a little bit, and so you can see that all it does is, there's still the voids, but they're just smaller than these. All right, so for scale, see there's my finger, and some of these are relatively big. If you look over here, it has more of them, but they're a lot smaller. And then here, they're a lot flatter because as I brush it and it dries, it knocks down the high spots. All right. Now here, I was going to get some body filler and run it across there, but like I said, I think the amount of effort and time delay isn't worth it. I'd rather sand it off after the fact. All right, so then we come over here to this piece. This piece, luckily, didn't have any alligatoring, and that's because I learned my lesson. I did not try to touch up the gel coat. All right, so once I did this, I put, I don't remember, I think I waxed this one and then used the semi-permanent mold release, and then yeah, put on the gel coat. All right, worked good, but what happened was it started sprinkling while I was doing it. So I started with the area that was most critical, which is this area right through here. The hood, I wanted it, of course, to be perfect, but if it wasn't, it would be much easier to duplicate this than these convoluted curves. So you can see where the water was right here. And what happened is it slowed down the cure. This took like 3 days for this to cure, whereas normally it takes a couple of hours. And the reason why is because to cure, it relies on heat, and of course water absorbs heat, so it takes a long time for it to generate enough heat or time to actually cure. I would have this covered with fiberglass, but my fiberglass mat is at the shop, and I'm just too lazy to go there and get it. So this has been sitting here for days with just the gel coat. All right, so this area over here that didn't get so wet is okay. You can see I don't worry about the surface texture because it's just going to get covered by fiberglass, and I found out trying to fix the surface texture tends to cause alligatoring. So in some places the gel coat's going to be a little bit thicker, in other places it's not. One of the issues I have is that I got pre-release. If you're not familiar with that, what happens is the gel coat shrinks and it pulls away from the surface. So you can see the first sign is I've got a crack there. Well, that's because it shrunk. This part stayed, this part over here stayed, and then it had to give somewhere in the middle. What I found from experience is that what's going to happen when I put the fiberglass in here, it's going to seep through that, and it's going to cause an area with fiberglass on top of the gel coat. I haven't decided how to fix that. I may put something in there to fill in that gap. Anyway, so what pre-release is the gel coat is pulled away from the surface. All right, so if you look, I'm not sure if you can tell, but there is a space in between. If you look here, you can see There's a little bit of a space in between. The other thing is I've not been gentle with these molds. I've been dragging them all over the place. So that could be just from flexing, but I do think it's partially from pre-release. All right, and the way I know that is if I come over here and hit, here it's solid, here it's more hollow. All right. Anyway, if I was trying to get a perfect mold and a perfect part, and if I'd started with a perfect part, then I would worry about that. But that's not the case. I am making my own version of this, and nobody's going to notice. That's not even a 16th of an inch or 32nd, or I mean, it's barely there. So I'm not going to worry about it. I was going to do it today, but you can see the weather isn't exactly cooperating. It looks better on the camera than it does in real life, and it's freaking cold. It's like, I don't know, 40 degrees or something. So the other thing is it's going to take a long time for the fiberglass to cure. So I'll probably wait till tomorrow because it's supposed to be 60 degrees tomorrow. So that extra 10, 20 degrees is going to make a big difference. All right, so that's what I've got. So today I am going to put another layer or two of PVA on this and see how much better I can get the surface, because what's going to happen is when I'm going to put gel coat on this next. So when I put the gel coat, this surface that you see here is exactly what's going to be in the gel coat. So it'll have all these high spots where you see the voids, and then of course that'll be the surface area. So I'm going to spray it again. You can also see where I have a small issue right there. Let me see, I can see it plainly. Yeah, right there, there, and there. What it is PVA bunched up. I should have hit it while it was still wet. Now it's dry. All right. So like I said, I'm going to hit this again, and then later today, I think, well, it's 4 o'clock, we'll see. Later today, I plan on hitting it with gel coat, but it takes at least an hour, if not 2 hours, to do gel coat. So I may wait till tomorrow. It'll be warmer, nicer, and it is cold out here, to me. All right, that's all I've got. So go ahead, like, subscribe, hit the alert, hit the thanks if you want to donate, and if you don't like what I'm doing, you don't know Jack.